Hey everybody, this is Keylime again with another class guide. This time around we're going to be talking about all of the great things with the night class. The night class! So let's begin by talking about everything great about the night. There's none. Okay, alright. Let's actually talk about the night class. First, let's look at these traits up in this thing. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, so traits. Knights don't get anything great here. So 2 life, all knights, not good. 3 attack when an ally dies, waiting for an ally to die, not good. 2 armor every turn, also not good. So anything that takes every turn to do the effect is not very good. So all of this is bad. You would think that since it's a knight, it would all be armor or something like that, but it ends up just being this really bad mix of one-time stat bump, only triggers when someone dies, and once every turn, which is kind of some of the worst triggering effects in the game, so none of this is good. So from a trait perspective, you're getting nothing, so hopefully the talents are great. What do we think exists in the talent tree? Whoop! Wow. So yeah, we don't have anything good here either. When it comes to the night class, if you've seen my other videos, you know that the morale tree is really, not that exciting. Everything is a very minor stat bump. So you get a minor, 5 attack in PvP is not bad, but it's like specific to only PvP. One-time stat bump, 10% XP bonus, which is so weird, not good. Commander, 2 to all skills, not very good. 15% mana start, not very good. And then 1 attack every turn for Urska, also not very good. So the morale tree is bringing nothing to the table. When we look at the light tree at least offers a little bit of something. So 1-time stat bump, not good. 10 armor in the first position, that's okay. That's actually like a decent amount of armor, so that's not the worst thing in the world. All allies gaining 2 life on 4 or 5 gem matches, okay, now that's pretty decent. So we start with 10 extra armor, we're getting 2 life on every 4 or 5 for everybody on our team, that's kind of cool. Light Storm at the start of the battle, you can do something with that. All troops gaining 4 armor, that's okay, again. Bonus yellow mana, that's not terrible. And then all divines gaining 2 life every turn, whatever, it's a 1-time stat bump. So the light tree is at least bringing something to the table. Then when we look at the Guardian tree, there's really not a lot. So you'll start with a barrier, you'll be able to do 20% extra skull damage. This barriering thing when somebody else dies is really bad. I hate any ability that triggers when somebody else dies. It's just not a very reliable method. If you're losing allies, this barrier is probably not going to magically save you. So this is pretty poor. And then banishment. So banishment honestly is the thing to talk about when it comes to the night class. So night classes being able to banish, what this means is that if the other team is doing something like blessing themselves, they all have barriers for some reason, you can remove all of those with a single 4 or 5 match. So banishment is nothing to sneeze at. Of all the talents in this entire tree, banishment is the one extremely noteworthy one. Beyond all of that, it's all not good. So what are we missing from the night class? We are missing 50% mana start. We're missing any kind of explosion on 4 or 5 matches. We're missing any kind of stat pumping. We're missing any kind of synergistic people to go with them. So knights obviously are a knight troop type. And there's not really any knights that do cool stuff with other knights. So there's nothing all that exciting to talk about there. So what are we left with? We're kind of left with a class that has no real useful traits and no real useful talents. So we're already in a really bad spot. If there was knight stuff, other troops that did amazing things with other knights or other weapons that did amazing things with other knights, there might be some benefit to this. But the unfortunate reality is that there's essentially none of that. So if we go ahead and look at the troop types that are of type knight, we can see what we're working with here. So we'll do the order here by base, rarity by knight. So we've got Champion of Anu, who's doing your +1 to all blues every turn, which is kind of a slow stat pumping thing. The spell effect is pretty cool, but Champion of Anu is not someone that has any kind of loot potential. He's only really targeting a specific troop and then doing a very minor amount of damage to everybody else, so he's not that great. We can't build anything around him. He also does nothing interesting with other knights. He just happens to be one. Then we've got someone like Champion of the Guard. So Champion of the Guard, again, does nothing really interesting with knights. He is doing the same stat pumpy thing. He's super resistant to damage of all types. He's creating a bunch of mana, but he doesn't do any kind of damage. He's just there to survive and make mana. So these two are already not looking that great. Guard's avatar, again, is a knight, but he's not doing anything with other knights, so there's really nothing to worry about here. If you're able to boost up your armor a ton, for instance, you can start to do some decent damage with Guard's avatar. I know in my tier list video I put him super low, but I've learned you can do some weird little tricks to get him tons and tons of armor, and then all of a sudden you're nuking people for a decent amount of damage. I'd still rate him very low, but again, him being a knight is kind of inconsequential. There's nothing interesting about him being a knight. So it's kind of like we're still fishing for anyone who does anything cool with other knights. And you're not really going to find it anywhere, unfortunately. So when we're looking through this whole list, all of these people are knights, but there's not a whole lot in here that you can really do anything with. So the reason you would want to be making an exclusively knight lineup would require someone doing something cool with other knights. And unfortunately, what we have is just a bunch of people that are knights, but aren't really doing anything with other knights. So the only thing that kind of helps us here is our friend here, the Cane Sword. So the Cane Sword is doing specifically a mix of mana based on the number of knights you have in your team. So what this means is that there is potential for a knight class because this weapon exists. So if you're able to build a team of 4 knights, this weapon will be an insanely good mana generator. So we're in an okay spot, right? This opens up potential for this class. Just by having this thing giving you mana mix based on knight allies and the class itself being a knight, we can maybe build some cool stuff around this. But again, we're kind of like brought back to this conversation, which is what knights would I even want to use? So what kind of top tier knights could I put in this lineup? So if I'm looking for mana generators, for instance, let's go ahead and look for who's converting gems. Okay, we've got these people. So this person's giving everyone armor, they're transforming red to green. You know, they have a little bit of skull reduction, bonus blue. Like, this is somebody you could potentially be using for mana generation. Same idea with this person, transforming a random color to yellow. I find this extremely bad since you can't pick the actual gem that's being converted. So this is not that great. Again, very armor-oriented, skull reduction, that's fine. Lord Ember is pretty cool, at least. They want you to run him in the top slot here because of this leader thing. So he's able to convert anything to red and giving everybody 1 magic. So in terms of like mana generation with converters, not necessarily the best. I'd say Lord Ember is definitely the best of the bunch here. Templar is actually pretty decent. So we're not looking too good from a converting perspective. So who can create gems? Well, we've got Champion of the Guard. So from a mana generation perspective, this is pretty cool. Sir Gawain is interesting because he does a mix, well, not a mix, but he's creating 8 blue and 8 brown, but then he's just summoning people. If you watch my videos, you know that I'm not a fan at all of summoning type lineups. It's just a way of like delaying a game or making it take forever. Even if it's effective, it's not very fun to play. And I don't find it very effective personally, because then you have to start building up mana on troops you just spawned. Not very fun. So from a mana generation perspective, not very strong. Vanguard here is just destroying a row and then creating 6 yellow boosted by the amount of blues you destroyed times 2. So in a normal row destruction, you might catch like 2, maybe 3. So at that point in time, you're doing like up to 12 yellow gems, which isn't the worst thing in the world. He does start fast, so you'll at least like be able to start casting him pretty quickly. The one thing that's kind of nice about this is that if you're running a knight class, if you remember in the light tree, we could start with a light storm. So if that's the case, you could build a very yellow mana dependent lineup and do something like Vanguard to try and pump that up. But again, that really doesn't have anything to do with knights. You know, him being a knight, again, is not offering any synergy to the knight class itself. And finally, we have Griffin Knight here, who's, again, doing this creating 7 yellow thing. So these two are probably the best of like the just pure mana converting type people. There's nothing all that special else about him from a trait perspective. Vanguard would be the most of note from all of these. Obviously, Champion of the Guard is cool, but if you're going to be using Champion of the Guard, this is going to depend on you creating some kind of blue troops beneath you. So I would say that Champion of the Guard would be absolutely required for any kind of knight team that you're trying to make. And again, you're going to be building your knight team around the Cane Sword weapon. If you're not using the Cane Sword weapon, there is literally no reason at all, 0%, to be running the knight class. So we have to find a team of 4 knights basically to put together. So with that being the case, we have to be finding knights that are blue that are doing anything interesting. So what does that leave us with? So let's just get rid of all these things and go back to this and sort by blue. Blue knights. And the reason we're sorting by blue again is that the Cane weapon here is creating a mix of blue and red, and Champion of the Guard is also creating a mix of blue and red. So we should have all the blue and red mana that we could ever possibly want. But then we start to run into problems. So this is all the blue and red people that are in here. Again, there's no loop potential on Champion of Anu. The damage output that he does is fairly low. The damage output you're going to get from Cane Sword is also fairly low. So the amount of damage we're going to be getting with just Champion of Anu would be pretty bad. Ward's damage potential is actually pretty good, but again, he has no loop potential. It's also nothing all that exciting, like, him existing on the battlefield doesn't really do much. He does have the ability to gain an extra turn if you kill somebody, but you kind of need him to have a couple turns to a few turns to really start to get his attack into some kind of like instant kill kind of percentage. So War isn't somebody that's all that dependable, especially if you're playing very quick type games. You're going to be struggling with mana generation regardless, because if you're running Cane Sword, you're running Knight class, you have 0% mana start. So with no mana start, you're going to have to build this weapon up all the way. That's 14 mana. That's not going to be like 1 gem match. That might not be 2 gem matches. That could be 3. That could be 4. So it's going to take you a while to get mana. If you're running Champion of the Guard in the top slot, he takes 24 mana himself. But again, the nice thing about these two being next to each other is that they have no mana blocking whatsoever. They're both making the same type of mana. So you want to put blue people underneath the two of them. I would say that for any competent Knight team that exists, these two should be together, like without question. It's just a matter of what you put beneath them that's going to be the interesting part. But looking at the other blue people, since we're already making a ton of blue and we're making a ton of red, there's nothing in here that's exciting. There's just nothing in here. Like, again, we need to be looking at Knights because we're running Cane Sword. There's nothing in here that I would really recommend to others to use. Like, you could certainly argue that Queen Jezebel and War together in a team is a pretty cool combo. You'd have more mana generation with Queen Jezebel. War would be doing a ton of damage because Queen's pumping it. It's also getting pumped because of Champion of the Guard every turn. This isn't the worst thing on the planet, but what you're missing from a lineup like this is speed. So none of these people have any kind of mana start. You'd have to be getting up to 14 with this weapon to get it there. Queen Jezebel would be taking the blue, but again, she takes 15 to get there. War, of course, is like just starting at 0 and he needs 22 to get there. So the biggest problem you're going to have with this lineup, even with all of this mana generation with these 3 troops, is getting it started. By the time you get this thing going, you've probably taken a ton of debuffs, a ton of damage, you're already on the back foot, and now you're dealing with a team that's not even doing that much damage. You're not going to be able to do it quick enough because every time you're trying to do damage, you're going to be giving up your turn. If you cast Queen, you're going to give up your turn. If you cast War, you're going to have to give up your turn unless you happen to kill somebody. But even if you do kill somebody, now you're just trying to build up mana again somehow. So this isn't going to be all that effective. And again, we're looking for blue people we could be putting on this team, and there's just really nothing in here that's going to be that effective, that interesting. So that's the problem with the Knight class. The only reason to run the Knight class is the fact that the Cane Sword weapon exists, because you're at least getting some form of strong mana generation as a result of being a Knight. This is really the only interaction with other Knights that's of note. So you're kind of stuck. Like, a team like this is probably like a top tier Knight team, but this is like a mid to low tier PvP team or event team. Like, this is not going to be doing anything all that effective. The team that I showed before, which was doing Champion of Anu, and then, of course, I just put in Possessed King because I'm Key Lime. You know, this team is effective. You can win with this, but the only real damage you're getting is between Champion of Anu, which is not very strong, and then the weapon itself, which is not very high. This isn't really helping. The reason Possessed King is in here is because, from a mana generation perspective, with a single 4-5 match, you can be at least generating a lot more mana if you happen to catch a bunch of loops. But again, a problem with the Knight class is that it doesn't have any storms. So you're not really going to be able to consistently make a specific type of mana, you're just going to be catching a lot of random mana. So someone like Possessed King is actually pretty weak in this kind of a lineup. So we're kind of in a bad spot. There's nothing in here that's really all that exciting, and this is honestly the problem with the Knight class. I know normally I run into every single thing, like I talk in depth about the traits, I talk in depth about the talents. The real punchline from this video is that you really shouldn't play the Knight class, unfortunately, at this point in time. For right now, there's really nothing in here that you would want. If you want the light tree, there's other classes that can do the light tree with more interesting other effects. If you want the guardian tree, there's certainly other trees that can do this with greater effects. So I mean, if you're looking for banishment, you know, there's tons of other classes that get access to the guardian tree. I would strongly recommend you look into those if banishment seems like an interesting talent for you to pick up. Definitely look into other ones. Probably the most of note would be someone like a Dragon Guard or a Rune Priest. Those both have access to banishment. Those would be a lot more effective and a lot more capacity. If you're looking for the light tree, heck, even the current class event that's going on right now with the War Priest at least has some benefit. They also get access to the light tree with some other cool stuff. So I mean, there's other classes, if you want the light tree, if you want the guardian tree, that have those trees with other effective stuff within them. So that's kind of the punchline on the Knight class. I'm not going to bore you by watching me do a fight with this team. You know, if anything, you can see how slow this would be because of how much it requires to really build up. So if you were tuning into this video to try and learn some insights about the Knight class and learn why you should be playing them, please take away from this video the fact that you should not be playing this class as it currently stands. So that's going to be my Knight guide, short and sweet. Do not waste your time with this class currently. However, if this class ever does get buffed in the future, I will be the first in line to let you guys know that suddenly this class has value. But for all intents and purposes, this video serves as a PSA for why you should not play the Knight class. So that is all. This is Keylime, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. See ya.